Ilhan Omar thought the spotlight was hers. Check it out.
The president in whom you serve had a fraudulent university called Trump University.
During a House hearing, Ilhan was accusing others of fraud and tried presenting half-truths to push her narrative, until Linda McMahon stepped in and corrected the record point by point.
What's the plan?
I'm not sure that that's the right analysis of it.
And today, we're covering it all. So if you believe truth isn't partisan, hit the subscribe button and let's jump right into it.
We know that millions of federal grants and loans go out the door while students are left with education that is not worthy. So I was actually surprised a few weeks ago when your department quietly rescinded $37 million fine that was placed against Grand Canyon University. Can you explain why that happened?
Let me think for a second. Let me review my notes on that because there were a couple of things I wanted to make sure I covered with you. We really found that the accusations against Grand Canyon, which is a faith-based organization, and we looked at all the facts of the case.
I am familiar with the university. My question is, how are those students going to be made whole if you are not allowing the university to pay the fines? What's the plan?
I'm not sure that that's the right analysis of it.
Linda is right for a couple of reasons. First, Grand Canyon Education, which is a separate entity from the university itself, is already dealing with an ongoing lawsuit brought by a group of students. When it comes to the university, though, the picture is more complicated. Back in 2023, the Department of Education and the FTC accused GCU of deceptive advertising tied to its doctoral programs, along with illegal telemarketing practices. That's what led to the Department of Education issuing a fine of more than $37 million. But here's a key detail Ilhan left out. The government classified GCU as a for-profit institution, and an appeals judge later ruled that, quote, the wrong legal standard had been applied, later affirming its non-profit status. As a result, both the FTC and the Education Department dropped their cases, and the fine was recently rescinded. So this isn't nearly as clear-cut as Ilhan tries to make it sound. But that didn't stop her from pushing the narrative anyway.
Because we know that, the president in whom you serve had a fraudulent university called Trump University, and he himself settled 3 lawsuits before becoming president. We know that there are roughly 1.4 million borrowers who have been approved for a borrower defense discharge and are still waiting for that process. How are you clearing out that backlog?
In terms of the borrowed defense funds? There are lists of that. I'll be happy to get back to you with those numbers.
Okay. And while those students wait, can you give us a commitment that you are not going to collect that debt?
Yeah, I'll have to get back to you on that, as to what the situation is. And
I don't understand how that's a difficult question to say yes to. They've been defrauded. They are waiting for relief. While they wait for their relief,
well, if
they shouldn't have to pay back that debt.
Well, if they've been defrauded and it's been adjudicated that they've been defrauded, then I'll get back to you as to what the time frame is and why there's a holdup if there is.
It almost feels like Ilhan doesn't grasp how the legal system actually works. Is it intentional? I don't know. What's clear is how absurd it is for her to position herself as an authority on fraud while citing issues that are still tied up in active legal proceedings. You see, there are currently 207,000 people who filed over 251,000 borrower defense claims. The Biden administration promised to, quote, make timely decisions on their cases or else provide automatic relief to them by January 28th. And the Trump admin is, quote, requesting to move that deadline back to July 2027, especially since the backlog has existed for years now, and rushing decisions risks violating due process. Despite all that, Ilhan pushed another half-truth and presented it as fact. But before we get to that, a quick reminder, our merch store is live. And if you're looking for comfy clothes with awesome designs, we offer an amazing collection. Plus, every purchase helps us continue bringing the stories that the media tries to bury. So make sure you check it out through the link in the description. Now back to the video.
I know that you've been questioned a lot on IDEA and its funding. I won't re-litigate those questions. I just have two particular questions to address, or two areas to address. We know that the IDEA, that you have gotten rid of the legal team that guides the states in implementation. How are you going to rectify that?
I don't know what you mean by we've gotten rid of the legal team. We have had some reduction in force of
There was a
members.
firing of the entire legal team.
Well, we have other lawyers in place at the Department of Education, and we are
The
fully...
entire team that was for IDEA has been fired. So how are you addressing that?
Because we have other lawyers who are in place that can handle those things. And as I mentioned before, we have not missed any of our statutory requirements.
I know this is starting to sound like a running fact check, but no, the entire OCR legal team wasn't fired. According to NPR, quote, at least 240 of them were laid off, which amounts to roughly half the office. Even that didn't stick, since a federal judge stepped in, reinstating everyone, which is why the Trump admin placed them on administrative leave instead. More recent reporting showed they, quote, received an email from the Department of Education instructing them to return to work. What stands out, though, is how Ilhan presented these half-truths. She likely knows the full picture is more complicated, but she trims it down anyway. This goes to show that if anything is delivered with enough confidence, it sounds convincing.
Well, I do believe that firing hurts the implementation. We also know that you have gutted the Office of Civil Rights when there is already investigation backlog. How are you going to fix the discrimination claim cases that are out there?
Well, there are, excuse me, there are cases that we're looking into. And again, we have not missed any of our statutory requirements in terms of OCR. We also have a task force.
There is a backlog. There are a lot of kids in our schools that are waiting for relief. When you get rid of the people that are supposed to carry out those investigations, how are you to assure that those kids will not continue to be harmed? We are talking about so many situations in where kids are being discriminated against, and you got rid of the people that investigate those investigations so those kids can protect themselves from discrimination.
Well, we still have a very strong and capable staff in OCR.
Then you wouldn't have a backlog if that was the case.
As we laid out earlier, this backlog Ilhan is now acting outraged over dates back to the Biden years. Did she raise these concerns then? I highly doubt it, since she didn't even make a single public comment about it. And the same goes for most of the stuff she asked about during this hearing. She conveniently stayed silent on these issues until they became politically useful. Let me know in the comments your thoughts on this story. Don't forget to like and subscribe. And remember, keep thinking.